Hi. I've tried recording this video like 3 times, and the audio just wasn't capturing on YouTube. And since I do the direct uploads, posing a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to try this again. The book that we're reviewing today is called Yakuza Moon. It is subtitled Memoirs of a Gangster's Daughter, and it's by Shoko Tendo, who, I guess obviously is the daughter of a Yakuza boss. It's an autobiography, so therefore it is nonfiction, which is different than the books I've done in the past. Again, the outline, we're going to do a summary, my impression of the book before I read it, my opinion of the book, and then my rating out of 5 stars. This, be warned, may be a little long because it's kind of detailed. I'm going to try to keep it short, but it might take some time. So I'm going to show you the book. Yakuza Moon, Memoirs of a Gangster's Daughter. This is an autobiography, as I said, of Shoko Tendo. It starts off with when she was a child and how she was picked on by members of the school she attended because her father was the boss of one of the Yakuza gangs. For those of you who are unaware, Yakuza refers to all of the gangs, particularly organized crime, in Japan. So it doesn't necessarily refer to one body, but refers to several parts that are encompassed by one term. If you're interested in more information about the Yakuza, during the summer I'm going to do a controversial commentary on organized crime, and I'll do like a whole segment just on Yakuza. They're actually one of my favorite organized crime groups to research. So we're introduced to several different, or back to the book, we're introduced to several different people in Shoko's life. Her sister Maki. We're introduced to a brother, Daiki. We don't really get to see him very much. Her mom and her dad. We're introduced to several other figures, men that are in her life, including an abusive man who is a loan shark. His name is Mahima. She meets Mahima because, as it occurs with most Yakuza bosses, they end up getting involved in different types of things that seem to be like a good idea at the time. However, as time progresses, they always fall apart. So this is basically what occurs with every single family who has their main source of income focused on gang activity. Well, what ends up happening is her father ends up losing a lot of the money that they have, and he has to borrow from loan sharks because the banks won't grant him the loan. Mahima is one of the individuals who is a Yakuza who basically, is like, hey, Shoko, your family owes me money. Sleep with me, or, I will take it out of your dad's body parts, basically. So she's kind of forced into this type of lifestyle. I guess prelude that, she starts off as a really good kid, really obedient, really, everything she has to do, she does. And then with her sister Maki's influence, she becomes a Yankee, which is basically a punk rock kid, dyes her hair blonde, gets involved in using drugs starts off with paint thinners. Well, because of Mahima, she ends up turning to speed. While she's with Mahima and, she's his mistress and she becomes addicted to speed, she meets a man, Shin, who she thinks she loves, but he's married, so that's another affair. She actually meets several different men who are married, and she becomes the mistress. It seems that she's, picking up a lot of different misfortunes, and none of it's really her fault, and it's unfair for her. She falls in love with men who are taken. But then she meets a guy called Taka. Taka was a Yakuza member, and he ends up leaving the Yakuza because this guy started beating Shoko, and the Yakuza wouldn't let him kill the individual. So what ends up happening what ends up happening is, sorry, the computer froze for a second. Taka ends up marrying her, protecting her, taking care of her as best he can. They end up moving away from home. She ends up divorcing him in the end because she can't stick with that type of a lifestyle anymore. So over the course of the book, and obviously the course of her life, she develops into a pretty strong character, a pretty strong individual. So this book really reflects the difficult aspects that helped build the type of person she is now. It talks about why she gets the full body or the full back tattoo, the suit, as many people refer to it as. She talks about why she uses drugs and what that's taught her, the type of things that have helped her evolve, and how writing this book is really controversial because it gives insight a little into the Yakuza mainframe, and many people don't, accept that type of open exposure. So, that having been said, the reason I picked up the book is because I was doing a project on the Yakuza. I thought this would be insight into the female perspective of the gang, which it wasn't. It was basically the insight into a child's mind and her development over her lifetime because of a relative who is involved in the Yakuza. So I was disappointed, obviously, because it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was still a really good read. I read it in 2 days. So, overall, this book gets 3 out of 5 stars. The reason is because it's poorly written, but, it's an autobiography by an individual who unfortunately doesn't have, superior grammar skills. She dropped out of school. She admits to it all in here. So that's one of the things I look for in a book, is how it's written. But I would recommend picking it up. I'm going to put a link in the doobly-doo, along with the information about the book and the book coming up next week. Or, well, tomorrow, I guess. I owe you guys a book. So, 3 out of 5 stars. Check it out. It's nonfiction. It's a good read. It has sex in it, a lot of drugs, has violence, it has rock and roll and that type of miscreant behavior. So if you're into that, pick it up. This copy it's translated from Japanese, so the writing is very weird. This copy has pictures though. So go pick it up at your local Barnes & Noble, or check out the link in the doobly-doo. It should have an Amazon link in there where you can pick it up and purchase it for a fairly decent price. That having been said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.